Good morning. Welcome to Spill the Beans on Real Estate. No fluff, just the good stuff. We're coming to you today from Subway in Midland Park, New Jersey. And I'm Catherine.
I'm Pia.
And I'm Jamie. Before we get started, we would like to talk about some stats right now. Midland Park, New Jersey is a nice little town in Bergen County. So the last 30 days, Midland Park has had 4 active, 4 under contract, and 4 sold, which is phenomenal. And the average days in the market is about 31 days. So now the topic today, we have Pia would like to discuss understanding condo financing.
Wow, condo financing. I know you do a lot of condos.
I do. I primarily do condos in Jersey City and Hoboken. And there's, of course, not the easiest way to finance them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've heard there's a lot of problems that can come up.
yes, there is. First of all, when you buy a regular home, you do a conventional mortgage and you're all good, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to condos, the lenders have so many rules and regulations that we have to look at to make sure whether the condo is warrantable or non-warrantable. A warrantable condo, not a problem. Conventional mortgage.
What does that mean, warrantable condo?
A warrantable? Excuse me. A warrantable condo is actually a condo that has no litigations or no pending litigations. Don't need to be that it's a bad building or anything, but litigations do come up on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
The condo building cannot be more than 50% rented. So 51% of all occupants in the building needs to be owner occupied.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I see.
Being that I do a lot in Jersey City, and especially Jersey City in that sense, but also Hoboken, of course, you cannot have more than 25% of total square footage in the building as commercial space because it's not warrantable.
Look at that.
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
And if one single investor owns more than 10% of the units, it's not warrantable.
Wow.
Or if you have sponsor units.
So what's a sponsor unit?
So the developer, Jersey City, even Hoboken has a lot of new construction, and the developer keeps some units to themselves to get some rent flow and rent them out. And that's considered a sponsor unit. So they have never been sold.
I see.
Yes.
So these
Okay.
things will impact someone getting a mortgage.
Exactly. So if you look at Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they have pretty strict rules. Similar to FHA, VA loans, USDA loans,
Mm-hmm.
they have strict rules. And the rules, as I said, that how many owner-occupied units, if there are too many rentals, if there's too much commercial space, any kind of litigation, whether it's an ongoing litigation or a pending litigation. That would be considered non-warrantable.
So do you have a
condo.
list of these buildings that really aren't warrantable, that aren't good unless somebody's paying cash?
Oh, you don't have to pay cash. No. You can still get a mortgage.
Okay.
You just get different kind of mortgages.
Okay.
So we look at different lenders. So when I work on the buyer's side, of course, I double check because, yes, of course, there are lists, but we don't keep lists
Mm-hmm.
because things can change from day 1 to day 2.
See.
Just because they didn't have a lawsuit yesterday, they might have one today.
True.
See.
Just because they had one yesterday, it might be solved today.
Got it.
Owners
Got it.
can have sold all of a sudden or moved out and kept them the unit that they have as an investment property.
Right.
So every time you check, you double and triple check. That's why it's so important. So when I work with buyers, of course, I check and make sure that all is okay so I can inform my clients in regards to what is actually needed for them. When I work with sellers, I also double check because I make sure to put things like that in a listing.
Absolutely.
So any other buyer agent will know whether or not what kind of mortgage you potentially need. Cash buyers, of course, never have to worry.
Right.
And the
Interesting.
times that the building is not warrantable, that's when you go to a portfolio loan instead.
And what's a portfolio loan?
A portfolio loan is actually a loan that the lender or your bank, whoever is lending the money, keeps the loan in their portfolio the whole entire time. It will never be sold.
Okay.
And therefore they can set their own loan,
Their own
and regulations.
limits. Okay.
So the lenders then do, of course, a pretty good investigation about the building.
Okay.
And unfortunately, those loans tend to come with a little bit of a higher interest rate.
I was just gonna say that. I bet
'Cause
you
it's
the
a
interest
bigger
rate's a
risk.
little
Yes,
So
exactly.
the higher the risk, the higher their interest.
Exactly.
That makes complete sense.
So if you're looking to buy a condo, it's so important, or even if you're selling a condo, it's so important to have the right agent, to be surrounded by the right lenders, exactly like we have talked about previous
Yeah.
weeks. How
Yeah.
important it is to work with the right people that understand what
Yeah.
needs to be done and don't need to be done.
The team your agent has surrounded around them is so critical to you getting the home you want or not getting the home you want.
And one more thing, actually, with non-warrantable new construction, it's usually not a problem to get a conventional mortgage if they start selling them prior to actually being done. They cannot necessarily be a conventional to begin with, but when you have a new construction, there's limits on, you have to have X amount of pre-sales. Then it's going to automatically become warrantable, as long as there's no litigations or any other things going on. So new construction is always a little bit iffy if you buy it before the building has actually opened while it's still under construction, because you gotta hope a little bit. Unfortunately, you gotta hope.
And that's why a lot of builders will build a building and rent it out before they start selling it. That way they can get it 80% occupied.
Exactly.
And be able to change their loan from a construction loan to a residential loan. And then
save on their interest.
Correct.
They can save on their interest, but also if they start selling the condos prior to the project actually being done, like we've had several projects in Jersey City where you sit on the contract for months because it's not done. But once the company or the developer have reached a certain amount of pre-sold units, that's what it's called, even though they're still under contract, and it's used for primary residency, of course. You cannot buy it and be a buyer.
You're not an investor.
Investing in, exactly.
Yeah.
So there we look at that too, and we always, as an agent, whether I'm on the selling side or the listing side, make sure, where are we at? What do we need to do? How can we make sure that this is going to work out for either the seller or the buyer?
Yeah, because it's a risk for the buyer because they're buying it, pre-buying it, in hopes that it's
going to be built.
50%, 50% you said, right?
50%, yes.
50% pre-sold. So you've just got to sit and wait. So how, the buyer has to be willing to or able to just be patient.
Exactly. And yes, because it's pre-sold doesn't mean that everybody eventually will move in, but they need to have that specific number.
See. You have any other questions?
No.
That was a lot of information, Pia.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I learned a little bit today. I hope you guys learned something too. If you're interested in purchasing a condo, definitely contact us. We'll help you.
We'll guide you in every way we can.
That's right.
Absolutely. And if you have any ideas or places to recommend for us to meet up at your favorite coffee shop or lunch spot, please let us know. And if any topics you would like to hear about, let us know too.
See you next time.
See you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.